All right, let's get right into this. We're about to unpack an absolutely epic saga of power, betrayal, and a destiny forged in conflict. This is a story where every single choice carries the weight of generations, and believe me, the line between hunter and hunted is razor thin. So we open on a collision course. You've got two of the world's most powerful hunters on the board. On one side, Nimrod, the king of Babel, a guy who basically ruled the known world. And on the other, Esau, this incredible hunter just simmering with a burning jealousy. The wilderness is their arena, and only one of them is walking out of it.
And here we go, the first showdown. This whole thing is born from raw jealousy and ambition. It's a secret war, fought in the shadows, far from the eyes of the world. But it's a fight that is going to change the course of history forever.
Okay, so picture this. Nimrod, the mighty king, is out on a hunt. He's only got two of his men with him, separated from his main force. He's relaxed, just enjoying the day, with absolutely no idea that he's being stalked. Esau is out there, hiding, just waiting for that one perfect moment to strike.
The attack is just sudden, a complete blur of motion and steel. Esau explodes from his hiding place, sword already in hand. And in a flash, it's over. Nimrod is decapitated. His men don't even have time to react before Esau turns on them, fighting with this desperate fury. He cuts them both down. Just like that, 3 bodies lie dead in the wilderness.
Now listen, Esau doesn't just take a life here. He seizes the very symbol of Nimrod's rule. These aren't just clothes, no way. These are the sacred garments passed down from Noah, garments that are said to grant the wearer power and authority over everything. By stealing them, Esau is grabbing a symbol of power he didn't earn, and he has to flee into the wilderness as the king's warriors start closing in fast. So he's fleeing for his life, completely exhausted from the fight, and he stumbles home, empty-handed. He is so weary he's ready to die, and he walks right into his brother Jacob's cunning trap. A whole different kind of battle is about to be fought, you know? Not with swords, but with words and a bowl of stew. He just collapses in front of his brother, faint from exhaustion, faint from grief. And in that moment, his world shrinks down to a single, primal need: survival. His long-term destiny, his spiritual inheritance, none of it matters when his body is screaming for just a little bit of food.
And this slide just lays out the bargain perfectly. It is so lopsided. Jacob, who's always thinking 10 steps ahead, he just seizes his opportunity. He demands everything of eternal value. The birthright, that's the firstborn's right to a double portion of the family's legacy. And even Esau's future burial plot in the family cave. And in exchange for this sacred generational inheritance, he offers something that'll be gone in 5 minutes: some bread and a bowl of red lentil pottage.
So here's the crucial point. This wasn't just a bad deal made when he was weak. The text says he despised it. He consciously, actively rejected his destiny, and he sealed the deal with a sworn oath. He ate, he drank, and he just walked away, leaving his entire future on the table for a single meal.
Okay, so let's jump forward a few decades. The consequences of these choices are starting to ripple outward. We shift our focus now to Isaac, the patriarch of this whole family, who finds himself facing a completely different kind of threat in the land of Gerar. A famine has driven him there, and it forces him into a desperate lie that, frankly, mirrors the deceptions of his own sons.
You've probably heard a story like this before. Rebekah is incredibly beautiful, and Isaac is terrified that the men of Gerar will kill him just to take her. So he plays a high-stakes gamble. He tells everyone, "Oh, her? She's my sister." And the danger is very, very real. The princes of King Abimelech have already noticed her, and they're talking her up to the king. But, time passes and Isaac gets a little too comfortable. He's living in a house right across from the king's palace. And one day, from his window, King Abimelech sees something that blows the whole deception wide open. He sees Isaac sporting with Rebekah, this intimate, affectionate moment that no brother would ever share with a sister.
And the confrontation is immediate. Abimelech is furious. But listen, he's not angry out of jealousy. He's angry out of righteous fear. He gets the cosmic consequences here. If one of his people had taken Rebekah thinking she was single, they would have brought a huge guilt upon the entire kingdom. Isaac's lie didn't just endanger him, it endangered everyone. Now, the ancient texts that tell these stories are filled with some really strange, sometimes jarring episodes. So before we continue with Isaac's story, we're going to take a quick detour into one of the most bizarre encounters recorded in this era. It's a terrifying event that reminds us that the wilderness holds dangers far beyond simple human rivalry.
So you've got this guy named Anna, and he's just doing his job, feeding his father's asses. It's a mundane, everyday task. He leads them out to the desert by the seashore, a place where the boundaries between worlds seem kind of thin. And there, he witnesses something that just defies all explanation.
As a storm rolls in from the sea, a horde of creatures emerges from the wilderness. Anna tries to count them. Not 10, not 20, but 120 of them. The text just describes them as great and terrible animals, a monstrous army appearing from the shadows.
It's like something from a fever dream, a surreal cavalry charge. These monsters, half man, half bear, with these long tails dragging on the ground, they just walk up to the asses, mount them, and ride off. Anna is totally powerless to stop them. As they leave, one of the creatures even strikes him with its tail before they all disappear with the herd. He's just left there, terrified and alone.
Okay, coming back from that wild tale to our main narrative, we find Isaac again, and his divine blessing has made him unbelievably prosperous. I mean, he sowed seeds in this famine-stricken land and got a 100-fold return. But his success just breeds envy, and the Philistines now see him not as a guest, but as a dangerous rival.
Yep, the same king who protected him now casts him out. Isaac has just become too powerful, too wealthy. He leaves peacefully and sets up his tent in the valley of Gerar. But this is where a new conflict starts to boil over. A fight for the most vital resource of all, water.
This timeline really shows how the tension just keeps escalating. First, Isaac's men find the original wells his father Abraham dug, only to discover the Philistines had spitefully filled them all with dirt. So they dig a new well, and they name it Esek, which means contention, because the locals immediately fight them for it. They move on, dig another, but the fighting just gets worse, more violent. So they name that one Sitna, or enmity. Finally, they dig a third well, and the striving stops. They call it Rehoboth, meaning room, because at last there's peace.
Finally, Isaac returns to Beersheba, his father's old stomping grounds. And right there, in that same spot, God reaffirms the covenant. And just as this blessing is renewed, who should appear on the horizon but his former enemies, not looking for war, but for a truce?
Abimelech shows up with his chief captain, and his tone is completely different now. He has seen Isaac's prosperity, even in exile. He sees the hand of God on him and realizes, you know what, fighting this guy is pointless. Peace is the only logical option when you're facing a man who is so clearly blessed by the Lord.
And so, over a feast, they forge a treaty. Two rivals, who just fought a bitter war over water, are now breaking bread. Isaac swears not to harm them, and they acknowledge his divine favor. They clasp hands, sealing a fragile peace between their peoples with a sacred oath.
So a treaty is sworn, but this story is far from over. The oath settles the conflict over water, sure, but the rivalry between brothers, Esau and Jacob, is still smoldering. Which leaves us with a question. In a family defined by so much deception and divine promises, can a treaty with former enemies ever be as strong as the conflict that's brewing within its own bloodline?